Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Modern Work Mondays for Retail. I am your host, Nolan Wheeler, and as always, I have.
Jeff Strasser with Microsoft. How's it
How
going,
you doing,
Nolan?
buddy? Good, good,
Good.
good. Excellent. We're going to do a couple more in this little series of kind of educating on some of these weird retail terms and jargon that I sometimes throw into a conversation and people scratch their head and go, what the heck did Nolan just say? But the one we're going to do today is floor fill absorption. So this is like, think about, okay, I'm a health and beauty retailer and Oil of Olay comes in a box of 6 or 12 or whatever, and my shelf holding capacity maybe got screwed up because there's a locking showcase there now. And then my planogram screwed up because there's a locking showcase and it only holds 3. So the premise of this is, and that's, an example in locking showcases. And ideally we've got cases showing up to stores that perfectly fit on shelves, but that's just not the reality of the world, especially when our planograms start to get creative over time through refreshes. How many times does it take to basically put that cardboard box in the baler? How many times does it take to absorb to the floor? And yeah, so it impacts the frontline worker. Sometimes you go to a retail store and the sky shelf is full of random trail mix assorted products of different cereals all angled one way, and some store managers and DMs just lose their mind when they see that. But some guys go, well, that's what we're doing. But yeah, that talk to me about floor fill absorption.
Yeah, listen, I think anything that takes time, well, certainly time from the associates, right? Because it's less time engaging with customers and more time putting product on the shelf. But also the risk, like in that scenario that you gave of an out of stock or a perceived out of stock from the customer, right? I mean, more often than not, and certainly my wife would tell me this all the time, like I don't really have an interest in going and having a conversation when I'm in the grocery store or wherever. If it's not on the shelf, I'm just assuming it's not there. She will be very open. She'll track down, somebody who's working there, and they'll go check from the back. And I don't know that I have the patience. So if it's not on the shelf, I'm out the door. If there's not, to our last conversation from last week, a suitable replacement or substitute for that product. So it is a problem. In the conversations you've been having more recently, what are the approaches to minimize the impact on the associate and ensure, or rather reduce the likelihood of an out of stock because of a situation like the one you gave?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty consistent across all of our conversations, right? It's like your wife is gonna use her footsteps to go and try to get some help. You say nope, substitute or walk out or buy it online or whatever you're gonna do. But yeah, I mean, this is again like more self-help tools for customers in store. It's not just about locked product or big stuff or getting into a fitting room or like that inherent known friction. Some of it's like the friction you don't know because, we work with a particular retailer and they told us that 68% of the time when the home location is empty, it's in the building somewhere. So it's in the back room with that absorption challenge, or it's on a sky shelf, or maybe it's at a secondary location because the POS is really smart and it can tell you when to reorder because 12 went through the register or 8 or whatever, but it's not smart enough and there's nothing out there that we know of, and it's kind of like the holy grail is that if you got Coca-Cola being sold off of a pallet in front of the store and Coca-Cola on the home location, we don't know when the home location is empty. That's where a tally robot or Badger would come in, whatever, whatnot. But that's again that piece of how do we create better productivity for our consumers so that you're encouraging them to drive past the competitor and come to your store, because when you go with your grocery list, you're batting 1,000 every time.
And there are a ton of ideas. And all the tools and capabilities exist today to help address some of those problems. I mean, think about, right? So I don't want to go ask for help. I know it's going to take time. I got to go find somebody in another aisle I got to interrupt them from stocking their shelves, which I always feel bad doing. But whether it's with ESLs, if it's a QR code, if within the app, that retailer provides on a mobile device, I can scan the barcode that's maybe on the shelf, and it will tell me that there's another 12 of these items sitting in the building. They just don't happen to be on the shelf. Well, one, then I'm much more inclined to go bother somebody because I know it's there. So it's probably going to save me more time than going to another store. Or two, give me the option right there to notify somebody in the app that, hey, there's more in stock and customer needs this product. So like there are countless times this has happened to me over, certainly over my adult and shopping life. That absolutely can be addressed, and they're not technically complex or even realistically that costly to implement. Assuming inventory is in the ballpark of accurate, right? And that it works more often than not that you have accurate counts or reasonably accurate counts. But there are solutions to these problems, and there are absolutely missed sales many times over on a daily basis because of these problems.
Yeah. So not only is there a missed sale, but if you can empower your customer to get some tools, and I always like to think about the fact that the tools that are good enough for staff need to be available and made for customers. If 80% of people are still shopping brick and mortar, they're cognitively making that choice to drive to the store, and they want to be their picker. And sadly, sometimes they get turned into the cashier as well. So, if we think about those pieces, it's give the good tools to them, because not only do they get the service and do they get the product, but it's like crowdsourcing your out of stock counter. And you now have your customers participating, saying, hey, I want to buy this cake mix. It's out, but there's 4 in the store. And now you've actually prompted a task to not only help the customer, but fill the whole home location.
Yep. Yeah, an amazing opportunity. I know we've mentioned in a lot of our recent conversations is, for robotics. Like, what about the potential for me to say, hey, this item's not on the shelf? In the app, you're showing me that there's 3 in the back, and I need 2 units of them. Isn't that the opportunity just to put it on some sort of device or box? That just there's one employee in the back who's doing other work in the back. They grab the product, they put it on a little whatever robotic cart, and it just brings it up to the to register 1 or to the shelf location where I'm standing. I mean, there are definitely opportunities to streamline, when the costs and the technology is mature enough to do that.
Yeah, no, I give this argument frequently, which is, if we're willing to go and get everybody's grocery order and do a full e-com order, maybe there's 20 items. Are we not willing to go get 1 or 2 things for someone who's actually the free labor in the store, who's walking around with their cart, probably going to become their own self-checkout person? Like, and this is how we deploy it, right? When we do these notifications for out of stocks and for locked product or whatever and whatnot, we generally coach and train the store to say, you can do the call button approach, and you can do the old school methodologies of fulfilling from a locking showcase or doing whatever, or meeting the person in the aisle and have a conversation about what they want. But if the consumer is savvy enough, and it sounds like that's your preferred methodology, I know you don't like call buttons, especially ones that go over the speakers and you have no idea if someone's coming. You've been very clear about that. Your wife will run around the store and find somebody, but it sounds like you would like to just say, no, like, I can see 2, bring 2. And that's what we do, is we say, well, let's send all those notifications, those SKU-based notifications. Let's send those to the e-com picker who's in the middle of an order, but they're really good at picking, and they know the products well, and they know the store well. And it's like that e-com order has got a 2-hour fulfillment window, so you can stop and go help somebody whose car's in the parking lot and their credit card's in their back pocket.
Yeah, and the great thing is all those e-com pickers are already equipped with devices, so it's literally just an add-on to what they're already doing from kind of a notification standpoint. There's the big capital investment in hardware doesn't need to happen.
100%. All right, dude, that's it for Modern Work Monday today. Floor fill absorption, and then into a bit of a story around how do we solve it, and then how do we extend that use case. So I loved it. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next Monday.
Absolutely.